Ole Miss is a 10.5-point favorite. Started at 10.5, went to 10. Some places it got to 9.5. Now it's back up. Is that kind of the line movement that we've seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, I saw 11 down to 9.5, up to 10.5 now. Interesting line on the road. Florida's going to have an environment which, had they lost to LSU, they would not have. I assume a team pretty confident in feeling themselves a little bit. Isn't it as simple as, and we'll talk about this game throughout the week, of course, but
show up, play, and play well.
If you execute, you win.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. Oh, you can paint the rosiest of rosy pictures. You can also paint a really dark picture.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to do that. I mean, your rosy picture is Florida emptied the tank last week against a team that they view as a rival. DJ Lagway gutted it out, even though he's not moving well. They called a bunch of breaks. There was a touchdown that was called back from that LSU scored. Might have made the game flow a little bit differently. They've got Florida State next weekend. They'll be looking ahead. It's an early kickoff time, so you don't get the same level of juice in the stadium. Ole Miss playing so well, blah, blah, blah. Like, you can paint that picture. You can also paint the picture of Ole Miss just spent 2 weeks reading their own press clippings. They think they're invincible. They forgot how it works when you don't play well against a fellow SEC team. Did you see what Florida did to LSU, and did you see what LSU did to Ole Miss? DJ Lagway is, Superman.
Yeah.
It's harder to paint that picture than the other way around, but
it is.
Look, Florida's got dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they look the part. They may not be the most talented team in college football, but physically they look the part. DJ Lagway has a chance to be really special. They are thin at wide receiver. They are thin at running back. They have not been great on the offensive line. They've been okay. Pretty good on the defensive side at times. It all went poorly 2 weeks ago against Texas. I mean, that thing started rolling downhill, and before you blink, they're down 3 scores.
Yeah.
And that could very well happen on Saturday. So
it's most certainly could. I mean,
I hand you a $100 bill. You lay in the 10.5, or are you taking the points?
Ole Miss minus the 10.5. Yeah, we've gotten a few texts today and yesterday about Ole Miss overlooking Florida. Look, if they are overlooking Florida, then go ahead and fire Lane Kiffin and the entire staff. They're not. No, they can ill afford, and they are very well aware that they can ill afford to overlook anybody, and that includes the Egg Bowl next week as well. They've been playing playoff games since the loss in Baton Rouge. Oklahoma was a playoff game. Arkansas was a playoff game. Georgia was a playoff game. They cannot.
You think they found that it's fun that when you play at a really high level, you get those kind of results? Hey, let's keep playing at this kind of a high level.
I know, right?
Remember that effort we gave last week? What if we do that again?
Yeah. And if there was any chance that a bunch of 18 to 22-year-olds were possibly feeling themselves a little bit and overlooking Florida, all they have to do now is put on the film of the LSU game. Mm-hmm. And you have them locked right back in.
Yeah.
If they lose, it's not because of overlooking, and that will not be an excuse we say on Monday.
Paint the rosy picture, paint the dark picture. I'll give you a picture that is not all that pretty for Ole Miss, regardless of the outcome. And that is Jackson Dart gets hit the way that Garrett Nussmeier got hit. He was sacked 5 times last week.
Yeah, that was bizarre. And now LSU had a couple of linemen out, and Florida hasn't exactly been that productive getting to the quarterback. So
he was sacked 7 times last week, not 5.
They did have 92 offensive snaps, though. They had 92 snaps on offense.
So 92. A buddy just texted me, Borky, said LSU's defense was on the field for 42 minutes last week. Surely they're tired.
You would think.
Maybe.
You certainly would think, but
maybe.
Curious about whether or not Kiffin was being totally truthful about Trey Harris's availability, and even if he can play, how effective can he actually be? But this should be the healthiest Ole Miss has been all season as well. I know Parrish out for the season, but up front on the offensive line, they all should play. I mean, for the first time this season, you have the offensive line available to you.
So you do believe that part of Lane Kiffin in his press conference yesterday?
I believe that part. It's been trending that way for a while anyway.
Yeah.
And so I believe that for sure. But, I mean, this is a game that if you're the team that you think that you are, you go down there and win. This front six should give Florida a lot of fits because they give everybody fits. And if Lagway has not improved dramatically with his mobility from last week to this week with that hamstring, when you've got a defensive front that creates pressure, and before you get on me on the text line, this is an objective fact that gets pressure more than any other defensive front in all of college football. Mm-hmm. If you cannot move at the quarterback position, you're going to have a long day.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I do. I mean, they've been good, and they've gotten better, and they're playing their best, and having Princely Umanmielen healthy is a game changer. I mean, Lane has said multiple times, like, if he plays against Kentucky, if he plays most of the game against LSU, the outcome's probably different. And that would be a big deal for Ole Miss. There are a lot of layers to this game that we'll take a look at.